Chapter 14. Comparison is a mind virus. There was a young man with whom I went to university. I didn't know him very well, and in truth, I avoided him. He was a big guy, someone I saw as a thug who got into fights. He had a beautiful girlfriend who always seemed to be running around after him. I thought he was cocky, arrogant, and vain. I remember thinking at the time that people like him wouldn't amount to anything if they managed to graduate at all. A few years later, I bumped into the same man in a chance encounter in a pub in central London. I had popped in to use the toilet, and on my way out, I saw him talking to some people I assumed were his work colleagues. He was wearing a smart, dark suit and drinking from a traditional pint glass. I instantly recognized him, said hello, and introduced myself. He didn't remember who I was. He told me he was working for a large and respected consultancy firm. I immediately felt insecure. In my mind, I started comparing myself to him. I told myself that I wasn't working in as prestigious a job or at as respected a company. I imagined that he probably earned a lot more money than me, and that overall his life had turned out far better than mine. I felt down. I felt upset. And part of me felt that life was unfair. It wasn't right that this guy who got into fights, treated his girlfriend badly, and who in general wasn't a very nice person, should end up with a much better life than me. Well, after some time, I forgot about him. I gradually spent less and less time comparing myself to others, and more time thinking about what I wanted to create in my own life. It wasn't this man's or anyone else's fault that my life turned out the way it had. I see now, too, that I made a lot of assumptions about what his life was really like. The truth is, I had only the tiniest of glimpses into how his life had turned out. For all I knew, he was on the verge of being sacked or promoted. He could have been married or divorced. He could have been happy or suicidal. I didn't know, and it really doesn't matter. It's easy to make assumptions about people, especially on social media. We see a few photographs and some updates, and we compare the few highlights we get with the worst impressions we have of our own lives. The funny thing is that others have looked at my life for several years, compared themselves to me, and done exactly the same thing that I did with the guy from my own past. When they shared this with me, I wondered what they were seeing, because I didn't see it myself. They made up a story about my life that was different from my own story. However, someone else's life has turned out doesn't mean anything to me personally except what I make up about it. Even the facts of my own life mean nothing except for the story I choose to tell myself about them. Comparison to others is like a mind virus that keeps us small our whole lives. It keeps us in a victim mindset, and through it, we give away our power to things outside our control. We are victims of our own thinking. Living in that world isn't very fun, to put it lightly. When I spend less time comparing myself to others, I start seeing my own strengths. My greatest power has always been in being myself. I care about others. My friends tell me I have a huge heart. As my mind gets quieter and I stop comparing myself to others, I'm able to see this for myself. And I have other strengths too, which I would often overlook. I see this with my clients, who often downplay their strengths and overemphasize their weaknesses, especially when comparing themselves to others. What does this have to do with you? Well, you don't need to trust me or believe me or have faith in what I say or what anyone else says. Go out and test it for yourself. Do you compare your life to someone else's highlight reel on social media? What if you were to drop your thoughts of comparison to others and just take steps towards whatever you want in life? You have so much to gain. What a great idea, that last sentence. What if you were to drop your thoughts of comparison to others and just take steps towards whatever you want in life? That sounds easy, doesn't it? Just take steps towards whatever you want in life. It's kind of obvious. It's simple. It's almost too simple to be believed. Decide what you want, take steps towards it, and allow that to happen. Imagine if in 2024 that became your mantra, your way of being. Decide what you like, take steps towards it, allow it to happen. And essentially, you can put away any other thoughts, any other ideas. If you want to be a kinder person in the world, decide that, take steps towards it, and allow it to happen. If you want to make more money in 2024 than you did in 2023, decide that, take steps towards it, and allow it to happen. We could literally switch off from anything else other than creating the life that we want to live. How amazing would that be? What do you reckon? See you on the next video.